Is the gentlelady from Arizona, Ms. McSally.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Nielsen, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Earlier this week, Yuma Sector Border Patrol apprehended 61 people who entered the U.S. illegally. During an initial interview, one of these individuals claimed to be an unaccompanied minor. He later admitted he was an adult and a part of the MS-13 gang. UACs from El Salvador and other Central American countries are given different treatment than those from Mexico or other contiguous countries, or Canada, and are allowed to remain in the United States only to disappear into the shadows. We also have some other data points, as you know, that in a joint DHS, DOJ, MS-13 operation last year, of the 267 gang members arrested, approximately 25% entered the U.S. as unaccompanied minors. And in June of 2017, a spot check of one of the HHS facilities that had 138 teens being held, 39 of them, roughly 30%, had ties to MS-13 and other gangs. Is it, in your view, MS-13 is actually using the loopholes in our law in order to send individuals to the United States? There's about 10,000 members of MS-13 estimated in the United States, and their motto is to kill, rape, and control. And I just want to hear your perspective on what's going on with MS-13 and how they're using these loopholes in order to further endanger communities around our country.
We see them starting in their countries of origin. They recruit young children. They train them. They train them how to be smuggled across our border, how to then join up with gang members in the United States. We similarly see gang presence within the United States reaching back down into countries within Central America and recruiting and also providing instruction. We see smugglers increasingly smuggle specific to MS-13, and we see all of the resulting effects of that from violence in general across the border, but also the drugs and other illicit things that go with that smuggling.
So thank you. So I mean, these loopholes we're talking about are very real, right? Because you're saying the MS-13 gang members that are here are recruiting minors, and they know that they'll be able to be let into the United States.
Yes.
And others, probably that are adults, they either, like in this case, try and pretend they're minors, or they tell them to say the right words, right? I have a credible fear.
That's right.
But then what's happening is they're then being released with a future court date that they never show up for, right?
That's right. We estimate we only have 3.5% of UACs that are eventually removed because they do not show up.
So, closing these loopholes is paramount for security, for our national security, for our public safety. And the bill that Chairman McCall and I have, that we've been working diligently with you on, that I know you support, closes these loopholes. And I just really want to urge our colleagues that we have to bring some form of our bill to the floor. This is just one of the many issues that we're addressing in that bill to close these loopholes. This is not partisan. This is a public safety, local community, an important security issue that we're trying to address, and specifically highlighting this gang issue. So we also saw in California, according to DHS, 100 gang members, many of which belong to MS-13, were recently released from October 2016 to June 27 because of their sanctuary policies in California. So you have these gang members and other violent felons, violent criminals, that because of the dangerous policies of California, these individuals are being released back into our communities to be further danger to our communities instead of being handed over to federal authorities in prison, where it's safer for the community and safer for your agents. Can you just speak to specifically the dangers of that and what needs to be done?
Yes. So Sanctuary Cities began as a sanctuary for victims, as you know. What they have become over time, unfortunately, is a very contorted version of that, which is a sanctuary for criminals. And we need to be very clear about that. Sanctuary City protects criminals. It is not protecting the community. So as I mentioned earlier, what it requires us to do is send our agents not moving from a controlled environment back into the communities, putting that community at risk and other immigrants in that community that are not serious felons, and putting my officers and agents at risk. It doesn't make any sense. It's a way in which we're pitting blue against blue, federal law enforcement against state law enforcement, where we should all be working together to protect our communities.
Great, thank you for clarifying that again, because sometimes this gets misunderstood by people as to what the real impact is. And again, cracking down on these sanctuary cities is also in Chairman McCall's and I bill, and our bill, and we look forward to working to move that forward. I fully support the National Guard being deployed to support border security at the southern border. I represent a southern border district. Can you just touch on how it's going so far? And we'd love to have you back to Arizona. I'd love to host you there in order to be able to talk to the ranchers, local residents, and see how things are going down at the border.
Well, thank you for the invite. I try to get to the border whenever I can. It's very important to learn from the people there who are on the front lines of what works and doesn't work. The National Guard, we have about 1,000 deployed. We have around 600 actually active at the, within the border communities. What they're doing is they're supporting CBP so that we have more badges on the border, so CBP can go and do their law enforcement mission. So they're helping us with surveillance, intelligence, fleet maintenance, road clearing, all of the enabling functions that help CBP to do what CBP needs to do.
Great, thank you. I'm over my time. I'll you back. Thanks.
Thank you.
Jelane's time is